All right, I'd like to welcome everybody to the April 13th, 2022 hearing for the Spokane Plan Commission. We have two items on our docket today. And before we begin, I'd like to have Jackie do a roll call, please.
Michael Baker.
Here.
Jesse Bank.
Here.
Todd Byrother. Todd Byrother. Looks. He is here. Greg Francis.
Here.
Chris Neely. Chris Neely. Can you hear me online? Can anybody hear me online?
I can hear you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we'll come back. Ryan Patterson.
Here.
Carol Shook.
Here.
Tim Williams.
Here.
Clifford Winger.
Here.
Thank you. Okay, so we do have a quorum today. Mary Winkus here as well. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, before we begin, I'm going to read some hearing procedures. So for everybody in the audience, please silence your cell phones. We're not going to be doing any clapping or cheering or booing. And then no public outbursts. All you folks out there. We will have a time limit today on public comment. Time limit per item is limited to 3 minutes. And when you do, please sign up. There is a sign-up sheet here, and then if you're signing up online, I think there was a form to fill out to do testimony online as well. And then before you testify, please wait to be recognized by myself before speaking. Public comment is limited to just the public comment time. You won't, there isn't an interaction with the commissioners themselves, although we can ask questions. And then all comments to the Plan Commission shall be directed to the secretaries to be recorded into the public record. This includes any oral, written, and email comments. One of the things I do want to make clear is that this is our hearing. Public comment can still be accepted even after our hearing is completed, and that will go to the City Council. So other than that, we just ask you to be kind and nice to us. So, all right. With that, let's go ahead and proceed with our first hearing item. We are going to hear about Transit-Oriented Development Framework Study by Colin Quinhurst.
All right. Can you hear me all right? My name is Colin Quinhurst with Planning Services, and I'm here this afternoon to talk about the Transit-Oriented Development Framework Study. I think this is our 6th time in front of you with this topic, so we're all well familiar with it. I'll be fairly brief. The purpose of this study is to provide Spokane with a model for integrating transit-oriented development with accessibility improvements, as well as to align our regulations, policies, and investments in support of transit-oriented development. The last purpose of this is to test this process in a specific area of Spokane. So as far as how this study was laid out, Planning Services was the convener. City Council and Plan Commission were the decision-making authorities throughout the process. At each phase of the study, there were 4 phases. And Center-Based Planning and Urban Design out of Portland, Oregon was the lead consultant, with Angelo Planning Group as a sub-consultant focused on code. So the process throughout this study, as I said, there were 4 phases. Each phase consisted of Planning Services confirming the work plan and doing the public outreach for each phase, and gathering that information for center-based planning, which would deliver the work product, which would then come back to planning services and our steering committees for the study. So we had a technical advisory committee and a community steering committee made up of stakeholders from throughout the neighborhoods who would review the work product, and we'd make revisions based on their feedback as well as feedback from the neighborhood councils. And with that revised version, we'd bring it to you here at Planning Commission at each phase of the study. The selected project area is the eastern end of the City Line bus rapid transit route. So SDA's first bus rapid transit route in Spokane that will open next year. It's a $92 million investment with 7.5-minute headways at peak. So a very significant premium transit service, and we're looking to capitalize on that in areas that aren't necessarily zoned for transit-oriented development yet. So these are the areas outside of downtown through the South Logan neighborhood, through the Gonzaga campus, and along Mission Avenue by Chief Gary Park, ending at Spokane Community College. There are a series of guiding principles throughout this that you've heard about at each phase of the study, and now a fifth that we've added. So the first is providing a safe station environment, so each station is safe to be at. The second is destination and station access, so that you can get safely walking and biking between stations and from stations to the nearby neighborhoods and the destinations and services within those neighborhoods. And then providing a mix of uses and high density at the transit stations, so transit supportive land uses, as well as policies that support that land use. And the last principle is equitable development, so providing affordability and ensuring anti-displacement through those policies. Through community engagement, we used each type of engagement. In terms of informing, we provided a project website and story map, handouts to neighborhoods, as well as slide presentations at neighborhood councils. In terms of involving, we provided stakeholder workshops and interactive online mapping activities, as well as online surveys. And then in terms of collaborate, we had the steering committee engagement. So the steering committees and technical advisory committees provided direct feedback throughout the process. So the outcomes of this study, the first is really that station access piece. So making sure that people can safely get between stations and safely to and from those stations to the nearby neighborhoods. And so this is a network of a core accessibility line along the transit route and then feeder routes throughout the neighborhood. And then in terms of regulatory recommendations, we had 4 primary recommendations that came out of this. The first is to modify transit supportive zones along the high frequency transit route to make them even better for transit-oriented development based on current best practices. So these are the zones that we're suggesting be modified. The last is neighborhood mixed use, which is an interesting one because it's on the books, but hasn't been used anywhere yet in terms of our comprehensive plan. So we took a focus on this, and it's Appendix 3 of this study, where we did a rewrite of neighborhood mixed use to make it a transit-oriented development zone for neighborhoods. So kind of those neighborhood node stations. The second recommendation is to apply those modifications specifically along high-frequency transit routes through a transit overlay and through a transition zone overlay. And the goal of these changes is there are 3 primary goals. One is to address the relationship between building heights and parking to ensure that those types of developments that we want pencil out. The second is to provide incentives and allowances that promote affordable housing and active street environments. And the third is to support design standards, such as those that Taylor and Dean and the urban design team will bring forward in our second hearing today, that promote safe and active street environments. The third major recommendation is to rezone opportunity areas at the McCarthy Athletic Station area and at the Napa and Regal station areas. So there are some zonings around these stations that just aren't transit supportive currently, and so we'd want to rezone those outright. And then the last recommendation is to carry out very focused sub-area plans and studies. So the first sub-area plan would be the South Logan Transit-Oriented Development Implementation Project that Spencer mentioned is kicking off next Monday at City Council with an authorizing resolution to kick off that study. And that'll go through the rest of 2022 and into 2023 to actually carry out these types of recommendations. The second piece is a Mission Avenue transportation and land use study. So we recognize through this study that Mission Avenue needs to be rethought to make sure that the transportation environment is supporting the land use environment that we want along this route. But we realize that takes some in-depth transportation analysis and modeling and intersection studies to make sure that the recommendations for transforming Mission work with our transportation network. So the resulting action plan is online right now. The next step is for this to go to City Council by the end of April or early May for a resolution recognizing this work as guidance that we'd like to follow going forward in similar situations. And with that, I'd be happy to take any questions. All right, thank you.
All right, do we have questions for Colin before we do public testimony? Okay, well, at this time, we'll have our opportunity for discussion with deliberations. So at this time, I'd like to invite any public testimony. So we don't have anyone signed up here in person. Do we have anyone online that would like to testify today? Okay. Seeing none, with that, we will close public testimony and we'll move on to deliberations. Or actually a motion, right? Can I hear a motion?
This is Commissioner Winger. I move that the Plan Commission recommend the City Council adopt the Transit-Oriented Development Framework study as written and presented.
Thank you, Cliff.
I'll second.
Thank you, Jess. Okay, with that, we can begin deliberations. I guess one thing I want to say is, I've really enjoyed reading through the plan, and I think it has a lot of great things in it. I want to see it become as actionable as quickly as possible. I think there's a lot of good things in there that we really need to move forward with on implementation. So I don't want to see a study that just sits idle.
I've got one question for you. On the map on page 53, I guess it is, you got industrial rezone areas, one out there on East Mission and Green, and then the other one where the trailer company is down there towards downtown. What do you guys envision there?
Right, we want to maintain anything that's there already, but open up the opportunity for mixed use in those areas, and not allow further development that is not transit supportive.
Okay.
Would it be rezoned to that new mixed-use neighborhood zone?
At Regal, that's what we're proposing. At the Athletic Center station, we'd propose a center and corridor zone. And that would be consistent with all the surrounding zones right there.
I guess following off of Commissioner Francis's question, what is the mechanism for creating that zone change? Does that then have to come back through this body as well and then go to council like a regular comp plan adjustment?
Yeah, and that was the idea, is that staff would then take these recommendations and carry them out.
So, I feel similarly. I think this is a fantastic plan, and I congratulate you and whomever else you worked with on this. I think it's a little bit late, unfortunately, in the process with the city line already well under construction and going quickly. I would love to see us as we move forward with the city with some of these major investments to kind of get out in front of some of that with the land use planning. because I think all of this is really, really important stuff, and they do need to go hand in hand. So I guess I too am chomping at the bit for the implementation stage, because this is a critical investment on the city's part, as well as a critical opportunity to really transform that area, and so wanting to see those two go hand in hand.
Absolutely. Yeah, we recognize that it's imminent with the city line, but are aiming to use the same process as all these other high-frequency transit lines come online.
Great.
Did you guys look at any changes in the west end of the city line?
We didn't, because we felt the downtown zoning was already there where we needed it to be.
Okay.
Cliff?
Yes, I'm excited about this project because the Division Rapid Bus System in Division Connects is rapidly coming up for reviews, and this transit-oriented design can really help businesses as the North Spokane corridor takes traffic off Division. So I'm excited as a neighborhood council person to see that this is what the city's looking at. Thank you.
Mary?
Well, I'm just going to follow on what Cliff just said, because after the last time you presented and said that the neighborhoods had been involved, I did check, because that's what I'm supposed to do. And they said, yes, they were part of it every a step of the way. So I think maybe the lack of anybody giving testimony today has to do with the fact that those kinds of questions got answered in advance, which is the kind of planning that really is good. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for checking on us too, keeping us
All right,
honest.
Chris?
Yeah. What is the I tend to think of things in a project sense. So what is the length of time until everything you just described is implemented?
It really depends on where it falls in our list of projects and priorities. And so that's not a question I can answer. Yeah,
Okay.
I can't answer that.
That's actually the answer I was expecting. So my next question is, you referred in the report to like high velocity travel corridors or something, or terminology like that, correct?
Yeah, high frequency transit.
That's it. How often are those reviewed in terms of someone going out of being a high velocity corridor and some other throughway becoming one as a function of plans like this?
Yeah, STA does the planning for that. So Spokane Transit Authority does all the planning. But an example is the Division Street Bus Rapid Transit Corridor, the City Line Bus Rapid Transit Corridor, the Monroe Regal Line is high frequency transit. So it's anything that's at about 10 to 15 minute headways is considered high frequency transit.
Want to make it clear, it's high frequency transit, not high velocity. It's frequency,
It's not how fast it's going, it's how often it comes.
right, how frequent it occurs.
But
I'm corrected. I'm corrected.
STA labels
Thank you.
those, and that then drives the city's recognition of the corridor.
Exactly, yeah. And as far as, subsequent implementation work, the South Logan TOD implementation project is kicking off right now. So I guess we can say that is going forward and will be complete by June 2023.
Well, I think one of the, since we are meeting with City Council next week, this is actually a good topic that we could discuss with them with regards to implementation. While they may not have actually approved it by that point, going forward, we can talk about it being a priority to get programmed into our work program and to make the efforts of the city to move it forward.
And I didn't mention this either, but there's a Division Street grant that we now have that we're working on, which is to do similar work for Division around land use.
All right, do we have any other commissioners that would like to say anything?
Well, all I was thinking is, I can't say that it was a direct driver, but hopefully this, this pilot program can make it easier for us to implement this in more areas of town, as everyone's noticed that, as we have all these new bus rapid transit lines coming online, in the same way that maybe, the initial Cincinnati Greenway has now resulted in grant funding for 2 or 3 additional projects. Now that we've shown that we can actually do it.
That would be good. Okay, any other comments? Not hearing any, let's go ahead and take a roll call vote.
Michael Baker,
Aye.
Jesse Bank,
Aye.
Todd Byrother. Okay, and he did say that he was having very bad bandwidth problems, so he might not be able to hear us. Greg Francis,
Aye.
Chris Neely,
Aye.
thank you. Ryan Patterson,
Aye.
Carol Shook,
Aye.
Tim Williams,
Aye.
thank you, and Clifford Winger.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries.
Thank you. With that, we will move on to our second hearing, which is regarding design guidelines update for citywide skywalks and public projects with Dean Gunderson and Taylor Berberick.
T-Bear.
I'll go with the Beberick. I won't even get that right.
Let's see. Good afternoon. My name is Dean Gunderson. I'm the Senior Urban Designer for the City of Spokane. I work in the Planning Services Department. And this is Taylor Berberick, who's my co-urban designer with the city. This is the 4th time we're before you for this particular project. We're at, we had on Monday a workshop with Urban Experience. And today we are having this public hearing for the adoption of the new design guidelines and the associated code amendments to support those guidelines. This is just, I'm doing kind of a light overview. We kind of went into these a little bit more so earlier. But in general, these are adopting new guidelines for public projects and structures, skywalks, and citywide. Citywide is, contrary to the term, citywide is not guidelines that would be applied everywhere in the city. These are the default base guidelines that would be used for projects that would be subject to design review, but which we don't have crafted unique sets. We were also, in the code amendments, providing direct links within our online code to the new guidelines and plus the 2 existing design guidelines that we do have for the downtown and for mini storage facilities next to residential properties. And in the skywalks, if you look in the city statutes, in Title 12 is the only references to skywalks, and the majority of Title 12, Chapter 2, Article 3 has all of the criteria for granting air rights permits for encroachments into public rights-of-way, and then sprinkled throughout there are references to skywalks and their design and performance characteristics. We thought that it would be much easier for actual applicants coming through to proposing a specific guideline, that they could go to the land use standards and there would be a new chapter that would have those exact same standards, but pulled out of Article 3, Chapter 2, Title 12, and it would be in the Unified Development Code. And then we would have some clarifications in application standards for skywalks. And we found through the first two phases of our work, which were the research and interview phases and public outreach, that there was some confusion over the formal design review process in the city. And part of that was our fault because we were less clear in our code as to what triggers design review and what were the processes that were followed. So the other ordinance that would support the guidelines are we going through and actually providing clarification. So we're updating terms and making correct, giving correct titles to the different things that we do. Our primary focus for the new design guidelines was to improve their readability. The current guidelines, the most robust guidelines that we have are for the downtown. We have found that they're a little difficult for applicants to read through and to determine whether something would apply to them or not. So we needed to make sure that it was easily discoverable. That's why we're providing the links within the Unified Development Code, but actually there's a how-to section within each one of the new booklets. We're improving legibility, so we're actually using the colors of the rainbow to color code the individual sections. And we're actually providing definitions, including plinth, for for commonly used terms when we do design review. Because we tend to come up and devolve into jargon quite frequently, and we needed to make sure that we were very clear with applicants and members of the general public who are interested in design review what those terms are, because they're not always defined in Title 17, Title 17, Section A, which is the definitions. So we needed to provide those particular definitions for those terms. The three particular guideline booklets are, and they are linked in the documents that were provided. This is for public projects and structures, for skywalks, and for citywide or base guidelines. The ordinances themselves, and this is a specific rundown of what is contained in each one of the three proposed ordinances. The first one is really the adoption of the new design guidelines, the linking of them, and also the deletion of shoreline conditional use permits from design review because we modified the shoreline management plan last year. The design review board has been asking since 2016 to remove design review from shoreline conditional use permits because the city has done an excellent job in incorporating these higher level design criteria in the Shoreline Act itself. So there was very little for the design review board to do, actually very little for us staff to do, but just point to the code and say, well, do that. So made it superfluous. Clarifies that the Plan Commission may request design review board's advice on planning studies. So when you're evaluating plans, you can ask that the design criteria be, that you can ask for the advice from the design review board. And it refers to citywide design guidelines for developments that may require design review as required elsewhere in the SMC. We currently don't have that catch-all guideline, so we are at somewhat of a loss when we have to provide design review for projects, but we don't have guidelines to structure the conversations between staff and the board and applicants and the general public. The second ordinance focuses exclusively on skywalks. So it talks about the revisions that would occur in Title 12, where we're not changing the actual language that is that structures the actual physical characteristics of skywalks. We are reformatting them and rolling them forward into Title 17 so that just like any other project that's being built in the city, an applicant can go through and members of the public can find this, more easily find it, and understand exactly what is meant by angulation and slope and all of those things. And we actually included graphics that weren't there in Title 12. We also included, we made sure that we took those portions of the performance characteristics that were truly development standards that must be met, like the clearance for semi-tractor trailers moving through the downtown or on any public street, and we wrote those as truly development standards so that they would be read and interpreted just like setbacks or height restrictions or anything else. And then all the other elements were design standards, and they were reformatted into an RPC format, and applicants have the ability to propose an alternative superior design. That process is not very clear currently, and so we wanted to make sure that that opportunity was clearly communicated by crafting them as design standards with the design standards implementation criteria. And then the final ordinance was modifying Title 8, which refers to the fees. We're not changing the fee structure. We're just giving the correct terminology for the two types of formal design review conducted. We have that's conducted by staff, which is going to be referred to as the abbreviated design review because there's not a public hearing that's involved in that. And then there's the standard design review, which is projects that would go before the full board. We clarify which design standards are eligible for design departures. Essentially, every design standard that's written in an RPC, but the existing language is somewhat obscure because it only makes reference to one or two of them. But it's clearer in the design standards administration that's in section in every code that all RPC formatted design standards are eligible for design departures. It deletes a reference to a design review committee finding that would occur at a PUD's preliminary plat phase or stage of review. This was in 2006 when the planned unit development ordinance was modified. The trigger for design review in the design review language for the city was removed for PUDs. But in the decision criteria, which is a different section of the code, it's kind of how you manage applications and process applications, there was this reference, and it tells you how old it is. It hasn't been a design review committee since 2010. So, but it ties it would tie that design review at a time in which an applicant is merely trying to determine whether they can subdivide the property. And they have not begun designing buildings, they have not begun designing landscaping. And so the times in which we've had to, in the past several years, we've had three, the applicants are at a loss. We have found that we've had to expend a considerable amount of effort to try to bring them along, and it's been a less than satisfactory response. So we felt that it was appropriate and consistent with the changes that were done in the code in years past that we just scrub that reference to design review occurring at the preliminary plat stage. We also clarified that Skywalk's air rights, the portions of the air rights contracts or air rights permits would have to comply with the terms that are left in Article 12. But we also state that the physical configuration of the Skywalk structure itself would have to comply with the standards found in the new chapter that will be in Title 17.
I have a question, Dean.
Yes.
I'm going back to PUDs for a moment. So I know you're scrubbing the reference to the preliminary plat stage. Is there going to be any point in time at which a PUD goes through design review? I know a PUD has to be approved by council, correct?
Yes.
But is there going to be any design review around it at all?
There is currently with the way the code is written, there isn't design review required currently, the formal design review. We've been actually providing the service just in the off chance that someone may be aggrieved. What we're finding through the phase 1, phase 2 work of this, we asked the consultant, Herbsworks out of Portland, look at the sister cities that we've identified. Look at how Seattle does the reviews of planned unit developments or master plan communities, look at what Portland does, look at what Boise does, and report back to us what you found. And in all of those 3 communities, none of those communities require by default those types of planned unit developments to go through design review. What they have done is simply embed higher design performance criteria in the code itself. Sort of like what we have done with our shoreline conditional use permits, we simply require a higher level of performance. And if you look at the PUD ordinance, that which is on the books right now, it is already obligated to a higher level of conformance and compliance to the surrounding existing development. So streets must connect through. There are already a number of additional design criteria and development criteria that PUDs are subject to. But having said that, the hearing examiner and the planning director can always request that a project that appears complex or has a number of potential problematic issues, they can request that the design review board provide feedback on that application's design criteria.
So probably council could then do that as well as a contingent requirement for approval of the PUD?
Well, currently that authority rests with the action approving authorities for the land use applications. So that's either the hearing examiner, if it's a type 3 application, or the planning director if it's a type 2 application. And that whether a PUD would be either a type 1 or a type 2 or a type 3 has to do with its complexity and its potential environmental impacts. City Council itself is not an action approving authority in that sense. Just as a way of kind of looking at talking about the way a project that was done about 2 years ago, there was a public project that was not normally subject to design review, but council was concerned enough that they authorized themselves to craft a letter to send to the mayor requesting that a particular project, that particular public project, be subject to design review. And though the mayor also is not an action approving authority, the city engineer answers to the mayor. So the city engineer, before the council voted on authorizing the crafting of the letter, the city engineer just simply mandated that the project go through design review. And that's how that public project went through. And we were able to successfully complete that. And I think the general public was pretty pleased with the results. And I would imagine if a planned unit development were potentially complex enough and there were enough concern that either the hearings examiner or elected officials could actually make requests, and it would go before design review.
I'm glad that option continues to be there. As you know, I followed the Garden District project up on 29th and Southeast Boulevard, and while the design review process may have been a frustration point for the developer, I think it also helped craft a better product as a result. So I think it was beneficial to have at least the option for that to be done if it's deemed necessary. So
Yeah.
I'm glad there's still an opportunity for it to
Yeah,
occur.
simply removing that phrase in the preliminary plat stage doesn't eliminate the opportunity for a PUD to go through design review. The applicant in that particular case for the Garden District PUD was somewhat flummoxed at the preliminary plat stage to have to produce architectural renderings and landscape plans because they were simply trying to determine whether or not they could financially, if the city was going to permit the subdivision. And that's typically the point through that entitlement process. If they clear that entitlement stage, they would then go to a lender to secure the commercial loan to hire the consultants to do the things that we would work with. So it was a little bit of a cart before the horse. In that particular case, you had a very experienced developer that already had been developing landscape plans in order to facilitate his public conversations with the surrounding properties and neighborhoods. And he had an existing development, very successful planned unit development here in the city, and he was simply able to take those plans and elevations from those structures and provide them and say, we would do something like this. But that has not been the case with the other planned unit developments that we've reviewed. They've been very light on the design, and it makes conversations more difficult. And thank you. If any questions?
Wow, just like
any questions?
I had one question. You said you were clarifying the language around the fees
Yes.
of staff review or board review.
Yeah.
Is there any language in there that helps people know which one they should pick besides how much it costs?
That occurs in the design review handbook,
Okay.
which is a separate document, but we're also already working on revisions to that to conform the language.
And put a link in between the two?
And put a link between the two. Yeah, we live in a world of hyperlinks, so that's so 20th century. So we're deciding to finally do that stuff. The one thing we currently refer to staff level formal design review as administrative design review. We found that was a somewhat confusing term because that exact same phrase is used in the Design Standards Administration in reference to the conformance review that current planning staff do. When they're looking at development code and the design standards, that's referred to in the Design Standards Administration sections as administrative design review, though there's not a fee attached to it, there's not hearings attached to it. They're looking at conformance. Now, if it were not conforming, then they would go through and trigger a formal design review. The difference between an abbreviated design review and a standard design review has to do with whether the design that's proposed is already showing significant compliance with the design standards and design guidelines. If it's already showing significant conformance, I would then meet with the chair of the design review board because the abbreviated design review staff reports, the recommendations that staff would write, are still subject to review by the design review board chair and signature. But the chair has three options. One, they could sign off as worded. They have a line item veto. They have the ability to strike or add or amend any of the criteria or any of the recommendations. Or they could look at it and say, this was very different than what I thought originally. I want this to go to a standard design review. So there's always board involvement through the formal design review process. And it's still just $600 for the abbreviated review and a whopping $1,275 for the standard review. I think that's been the case since 2010.
All right, Chris, you had a question?
A comment, actually. I applaud the fact that you're making your documentation more readable by using color coding. That's a big plus, and as a business process engineer, I know it can help people be more efficient. When you put that together, one question, and it's a serious question, is did your graphics folks mention that 12%, 1 in 12 Americans, basically 8% of men, are colorblind and cannot see red or green?
I'm slightly less red sensitive in my right eye. So when we were selecting the color ranges, I wanted to make sure that even if these were reproduced just on a black and white photocopier, they would still be legible. The shading difference would still be legible. So it was a very real issue at least for me. So.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions before we go to public comment? All right. With that, thank you, Dean.
Thank you.
We will move on to public comment. We have no one, I believe, here that would like to make public comment. Do we have anyone online that would like to make public comment? Okay, seeing none, we will close public comment and we will move on to deliberation. Before we make a motion, I would just like to verify, there's a lot of elements to this work. There's multiple ordinances here. I just want to verify that we can handle this within a single motion. Yeah. Mr. Richmond. I just wanted to make sure it was on the record that we had it.
Okay.
So.
Well, now it is.
Okay, thank you. With that, I'd like entertain a motion.
This is Cliff. I move that the Plan Commission recommend that City Council adopt the design guideline updates as written and presented.
Second.
All right, it's been first motioned and seconded. Oh, man, I can't even get the terms right today.
Moved.
With that, let's go ahead and move on into deliberations.
Good job.
Okay, well, go ahead, Chris.
So if, following up on your comment, if we were going to, do you clearly you feel that it might be necessary to slice this thing up?
No, I don't think it was necessary, but I just want to make sure that, since we're making modifications to multiple areas, that we weren't going to be caught into any sort of situation. I think that unless the commission feels that there's a need to break it into components, that we can do it all together.
Okay.
Okay, I will make a comment. I want to thank Dean and Taylor and everybody that's been involved in this. I know I've worked with people that have gone through the design review process without anything to work from, and I think providing clarity is going to be really helpful to them, and I'm sure they're going to appreciate it. So, and I like some of the changes that are occurring ordinance-wide. I do have, and I'm glad there's an opportunity for planned unit developments to go through design review, should it be deemed necessary, because those can have a significant impact on the city and the neighborhood that they're rolled out in. And so I think the design review process can be very important there. So I'm going to support this, and there you go.
Hi, this is Carol.
Yes, Carol?
Thank you. I just wanted to say I think it's so important that language is clear and concise, and I just really appreciate the effort that's gone into it. Thank you.
And I'll just make it easy and second everything that everyone else has said, because I largely agree with all of it. Great job. Thank you.
Okay, if we have no other comments, let's go ahead and take a vote.
Michael Baker.
Aye.
Jesse Bank.
Aye.
Todd Byrather. All right, I'll come back to him. Greg Francis.
Aye.
Chris Neely.
Aye.
Ryan Patterson.
Aye.
Carol Shook.
Aye.
Tim Williams.
Aye.
Clifford Winger.
Aye.
Thank you. And Todd Byrather? Okay, I don't think he can hear us, but the motion passes.
Thank you. With that, that concludes our hearing for today. Thank you, everybody.
Great, thank you.